Hi there, my name's Tyler Royke. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to discuss whether or not it's time for me to sell my Porsche Cayenne GTS, and also whether or not it's time for me to have the notorious valve guide issue addressed with the heads on my Corvette Z06. And lastly, do I take it to 600 wheel horsepower first, or is it time that I get my next supercar? Well, let's take the Cayenne GTS for a spin and find out. Before we get started with the video, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button so that I may include you on my car journey in the future. Well, one thing's for sure, if I do sell it, I've got to get this cracked windshield fixed first. Unfortunately, it started with a rock chip not too long after I bought the car, which the previous owner had a brand new windshield installed. So unfortunately it didn't have too long a life. I got a price on it. It was gonna run about $380 installed, not by Porsche, of course. If it was Porsche, the glass itself would be more than that. So selling the Cayenne would free up funds for me to use elsewhere as far as the monthly expense of it, which I did another video on it, which you'll see pop up here. And part of the idea of selling it now versus later would be, I just spent a good amount of money having it maintained. I had a few things addressed that were, due, with the high pressure fuel pump being one, new brakes being another. And this is a time where there's literally no lights on the dashboard, so it's a beautiful thing. So, to unload it while everything's in great tip-top shape, if you will, is pretty ideal. That way I'm not trying to sell it with oh, by the way, you've got to have this issue addressed, or also be in a position where I need to fix something else before selling it. It's there now. I can sell it now and be done with it. I've had a great experience with it. So that's what's on my mind here with the Cayenne. Next, we're going to talk about the Corvette. So let's get back home and swap cars. But first, let's do a little acceleration. The Cayenne GTS is really a great sounding SUV. And considering the fact that it is so heavy and pushes about 405 horsepower, it's a good amount of horsepower, but it's a heavy SUV. So that being considered, it really does get up to speed nicely. It's not insanely fast like the Z06, but it does a good job. So if you've never driven one of these before, I definitely do give it my stamp of approval. Just understand that there's no way around the fact, if you're going to drive it, you're paying for maintenance on a vehicle that had an MSRP, in my case, of just under $90,000. So the maintenance is what you would expect for near a six-figure automobile. So just be aware of that. There's no such thing as a poor man's Porsche. Even if you're buying the cheapest Porsche you can buy, you're gonna spend something getting it into the right shape, getting it drivable. My first car was what you could consider being a poor man's Porsche, 1987 924S. I bought for $2,000. It wasn't running. Several $1,000s later, it was in pretty nice shape. Great driving car. I had a lot of fun with it. Best case scenario for you, if you want to rent your own car, you'll save on the labor costs. It's just going to be an investment of your time at that point. So that may float your boat. It doesn't float mine. I've worked on my own car before. Nowadays I prefer not to, but that's just me. So you've got options there. Just one's going to be sweat equity, and other's going to be money out of your pocket. So one way or another, you got to bite the bullet. I love seeing a clear dash. Look at that beauty. No lights on, no warning lights, no Christmas tree. It's very good. is it time that I have the heads addressed in my Corvette Z06? Well, if I sell the Cayenne GTS, this would effectively become my daily driver. So the fact is, the factory valve guides on the heads of these cars are a very real issue that plenty of owners have experienced, and it's very much upwards of a $20,000 gamble you're taking to not have it addressed. So if I'm going to drive the car more regularly, it's something that I very much would like to have done just for peace of mind as sort of a preventative maintenance, because there's not really too much of a way to know for sure how big of an issue it is with your car until you take them off and you know, see how off the spec is from what it's supposed to be, which oftentimes, as owners are finding when they have this address, the specs are off. And so it's really only a matter of time until the engine grenades in these things. And you know, some people don't really ever have an issue with it. Others on a relatively low mileage car will come up and face this issue and end up having to put a new engine in it, and that would suck. So I would have a lot more peace of mind just knowing that it's not an issue personally. So if I have the car in for the heads, there's a number of other upgrades that I could knock out while those are off that would be fun to do. So that's something I'm starting to look at as well. Which really leads me to my final question for the day here, which is, do I take my C6 Z06 to somewhere in the range of 600 wheel horsepower, I guess 650-ish crank, or do I use that money and apply it towards my next supercar? Well, we're gonna find out after I do a little bit of acceleration. Let's go, baby. So I actually want to hop on my computer and kind of show you what I'm looking at right now. So let's do that real quick. All right, so we're here at my computer and I've assembled a wish list of sorts of parts that I would like to get, starting with the most essential thing, which is the cylinder heads themselves. I'm looking at American Heritage Performance. In the research I did, these guys seem like they're one of the top places to get these done with. I'd probably go with the ported heads here, because I do have it in mind that I might as well do some additional performance upgrades while I'm at it if I'm going in there and having this addressed in the first place. So the total of that would come out to just over $2,300 plus shipping, taxes, I would imagine, and obviously the install. So there's the main thing. The next thing would be a couple things that go with it. I'm pretty sure I need these. It's the cylinder head install kit. I may be wrong with that. I need to check with the installer because maybe I don't need those. I'm not 100%, but you know, I'm gonna assume I need them for now. And then something else I looked at was doing a cam. From feedback I got on the Corvette forum, I was doing some reading on there. There's several different cams you can go with. This one seemed like it was, you know, really a top pick as far as reliability, drivability, and longevity. And it really sounds like it's just what I'm looking for. And so this would be a nice performance upgrade. It would give the car some added power, you know, and sound as well, which is really cool. While you're going in there for this, you know, that's something that you can knock out sort of in the process there. So I see that as a must as far as if I go forward and knock it out. And then, you know, really diving more into the wish list, this definitely isn't an essential thing, but kind of goes more with the, you know, well, why not knock out everything else sort of idea behind it, you know, doing the headers, you know, and really a couple of the other items here have to do with the sound of the car and extra power as well. I mean, this would add some power. I mean, it's saying on the side again of a 25 horsepower at least with that. And so that would be pretty sweet, especially in addition to having the heads addressed, having the cam put in, and then headers. I mean, that's going to take the car to, you know, close to 600 horsepower. especially when you add on, you know, the next couple of things we're looking at here, which, oh yeah, by the way, that's just short of $1,400 for that, just for the part. And then I'm looking at Corsa, by the way. In the research I did, they just seem like they're the absolute go-to as far as the exhaust. See, something about the Corvette Z06 is it's got this annoying drone sound from the factory, and I don't know why it's like that, but it is what it is. And for whatever reason, this is an exhaust upgrade, right? So it's going to be louder. But if you're just cruising down the highway, which is when this drone sound happens, it's actually going to be a lot more quieter and more drivable. See, look, no drone during cruise, which would be very nice. And then the sound of these at higher RPMs is, and you know, especially when you mix it with some nice headers here and then the cam, I mean, this is going to really make the car sound so mean. Any one of these things would add to it, but you know, if you did all three of those combined, it would be pretty ridiculous, and that would add about 15 horsepower, save about 13 pounds as well, which is cool. You know, it makes the car breathe better, increase airflow. And so a couple last things here would be an X pipe, which, you know, essentially would be going all out with the exhaust. It's another $500. Doesn't add much horsepower, but there supposedly will be a small gain with that just by, again, allowing it to breathe a little better. And then very last thing I found here would be max flow air filter, which there's supposed to be a solid horsepower gain with that. And I believe if I did the math correctly, the horsepower gain, if you did all of these things, I mean, one of the big ones is the cam here, but then the full exhaust setup with the heads, with the headers, I believe it would take it very close to 600 wheel horsepower, which is a significant gain over what it's got right now. I haven't dynoed it, so I'm not sure the exact wheel horsepower, but from a factory, that is, from, you know, what I've seen on the forums, it seems a lot of cars are in the 430-ish range to 440, 450 wheel horsepower. So if you factor that into what it would be crank, you know, you've got the, you know, 505 horsepower is claimed by the factory or whatnot. And so you add all these things together, you're looking at, if you took it to, you know, 600 wheel horsepower, that's probably about 150 horsepower gain. So probably be the equivalent of about 650 to 660 crank, I would imagine. Again, if I'm doing the math correctly, but if you ask me, that's pretty sweet. If you factor in everything, if you factor in, okay, you can have the heads done, not worry about it. And while you're in there, just upgrading the performance of it, making it sound the way, you know, like a proper beast of a Corvette, like truly making it sound as good as you could, in my opinion, going with the full Corsa setup. You know, parts alone, like I said, for all this stuff, you're looking at, I believe, about $7,500 plus shipping, install, taxes. So probably coming out in the $10,000 range, but you know, $10,000 is definitely a considerable amount of money. But considering the fact that when it's all said and done, you have a trouble-free, hopefully trouble-free with the heads, you know, at least knowing that it's addressed. But then you're taking a beast of a car and making it way more of a beast of a car. I mean, imagine the horsepower level, the performance, the sound, the experience. I think it's a pretty phenomenal setup and a pretty phenomenal, you know, way to go with it. So that's my ultimate wish list, and we'll have to see what I end up doing with this car. So to have the heads themselves addressed in the spec I want, we're looking at somewhere in the range of $4,000 to $5,000. So it would more than double the bill to have the headers and exhaust added into the mix, at least the way I would want. But on the other hand, if I held off on doing all that stuff for now, it would allow me to take that $10,000 thereabouts and put it towards the purchase of my next supercar rather than putting it into the Corvette now. So the question is, what do I do? In fact, I would love to hear your input. So leave me a comment below and let me know. Do I spend $10,000 on the Corvette, get the heads addressed, get the headers, exhaust done, take it to somewhere in the range of perhaps 600 wheel horsepower, 650-ish crank, I believe, and really make it a more drivable daily supercar? Or do I focus my attention on what's going to take the Cayenne's place in the garage? Again, let me know what you think in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching the video. I truly appreciate your support. And I want to tell you, as crazy as this sounds, I have a big vision with this channel. I want to do some phenomenal things together in the car world, as far as just building what I'm doing with you guys here. You know, I know we're 200 strong now, but I'm telling you, I have a big vision with it. I'm going to take this to a much bigger level if you just stick with me. And so your support right now truly means a lot to me. So I just want to thank you for that. But till next time, I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video, and we'll see where I take this car journey next with you all.